Wrong age, too short.
So I need
Good evening and welcome to the February 8th, 2011 Common Council meeting. The clerk will call the roll, please.
Obratz.
Here.
Anderson.
Present.
Jarvis. Here. Lottie.
Here.
Fowler.
Present.
Hanson.
Present.
Sedlacek.
Present.
Ernstler.
Thank you. Will please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Slide all over on these chairs. You can't push them too fast. Thank you and good evening to our audience here tonight and those viewing us at home on replay. We appreciate you tuning in to the activities of the city. Next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes of the regular meeting held January 25, 2011. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Alder Anderson.
Second, Alder Jarvis.
We have a first and a second to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 25, 2011. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item is the audience portion where we ask citizens to come forward and be recognized by the chair and let us know what is on your mind. You get to talk, we get to listen. And tonight we have two people who signed up. Bill Emig. Bill.
I'm just here to remind people, during the winter, not to blow their snow out into the street with their snow blowers, and that they're supposed to be shoveling their sidewalks, even when it's just an inch. And if it blows back, to shovel them again. And to let people know that if they come across the sidewalk that isn't shoveled, they can contact City Hall and call me at extension 321. Just count down 321. And leave a message, and we'll try to get it taken care of. So I do thank everybody for their cooperation with the snowstorms we've been having, getting the cars off the streets and that kind of thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I'm not sure, Kevin, if you just signed up thinking that you had to in order. But, okay, because we'll have your discussion on item 5, so we'll scratch you off of this list, and we'll give you more time after that. So, thank you very much. Again, we appreciate citizens who come forward and want to talk to the council and tell us what's on your mind. Moving on, item 5 is the discussion and possible action regarding comprehensive plan amendment options. I'll call on Director Jurgis to introduce our guest tonight. Director Jurgis.
Yeah, I'll give you a little background. The 10-year update to the comprehensive plan is due by state statute. We're supposed to go through a review and update process related to our comp plan, and that was approved in 2001, and 2011 is the 10 years, 10-year mark. We have a variety of ways we could do that. We could do that in-house. We could hire a consultant. Doing it in-house, by the way, would take a lot of my time and would be a very slow process. Second way we could do it is hire a consultant at $20,000 to $40,000 to assist the city with a review process of the comp plan. Or the third option is to work with the UW Extension Office and Mr. Kevin Struck to assist the Plan Commission and the council, as well as probably a subcommittee of the Plan Commission to update the comp plan. He did provide us with a handout that you should all have. He's going to talk about that tonight. And with that, I guess I would just turn it over to Kevin to give a review of his handout.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Well, Brian already stole half the handout from me here, so. As he mentioned, it is required by statutes to update your plan every 10 years. And I've got the actual citation from the statutes there on the handout from chapter 66.1001. So you're due for that, and you might be the first one in the county, although City of Sheboygan could have you beat. I'm not sure where that timing is there, but you are one of the first ones to complete your plan. So you get to be one of the first ones to update it. I've got a little bit there about the timing of it. Not sure how strict the state will be as far as that June 12th date. But we probably don't want to take too many chances on that. Better to be safe than sorry. The 10-year update is not a rewrite of the entire plan. If it was, I probably would not be taking or attempting to take this on, proposing to take this on. That would be quite a bit of work, especially for a city like Plymouth. Fortunately, it's not a rewrite. There are just certain things that have to be updated, and I've listed those bullet points there. I actually went through the entire plan, page by page, looking to see what would have to be updated. And some of the things were, well, I found that items on 79 out of 133 pages needed to be looked at. Some relatively minor, dates, wording, references, things like that. Of course, you would need to replace the census data. That plan is drawing on 1990 census data, which is 21 years old, so you really need to update that. There were 6 maps in there, some changes to those. And then the plan had a whopping 269 goals, objectives, policies, and recommendations. And we need to determine if those are still appropriate or not. And then Brian mentioned the project options, so I won't go through those again. You can see I just listed one pro and one con for each one. And I had kind of tough to come up with a con for myself, but I managed to come up with something there. Because it's true, you are dependent on one shared individual. If something were to happen to me, it's not like you're in a consulting firm where you could have somebody else to fall back on. So, and Dave Such, who used to be in our office, who many of you might have worked with in the past, he has retired, so he's not there anymore, and we're not replacing him, as far as I know, with the present state of the state budget. So, it's kind of for better, for worse, I'm it. On the back is a very basic work plan outline of how I would tackle this. Of course, there's a lot more detail to it than that, but you as a city need to decide on which option you want to go with. Then we would need to digitize the existing comprehensive plan document. There's a lot of hard copies floating around, but kind of difficult to find at this stage, 10 years later, a digital copy, but we're taking care of that. We did find a PDF, and we're converting that to a Word document that we could edit. It would be good if you had a plan update subcommittee so that we didn't have to busy you folks with the nuts and bolts of this. Of course, you would have the final say. That subcommittee would just be advisory to you. We also need to, upfront, adopt a public participation plan so that residents of the city know what's up. Then, as I mentioned, replacing the census data, reviewing those goals and policies. Eventually, we come up with a draft plan that I would walk you through and get you to the point where you are happy with it, or at least comfortable with it. Then we need to print sufficient copies of that, and it has to be distributed to the school district, the town of Plymouth, and the county, and so forth, so that they have an opportunity to look at it. There's a public hearing that has to be held, along with the notice and posting requirements. Then eventually, the Plan Commission recommends adoption of the final plan to this body, and then you would adopt that final plan as an ordinance, and then we print and distribute the final plan. So those are the steps, and probably a good idea to involve the town of Plymouth in some manner in that whole process. Then I've also listed some of the potential budget items, nothing major. As of this point right now, UW Extension does not charge for this sort of thing, except for any materials that we might use in this process. And then my contact information, and then some of the previous plans that I've worked on and had successfully adopted, so. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much for addressing us again. You were here last week, talked to the Plan Commission, and for the council members, the Plan Commission did recommend to the council that they look favorably on this and work with University of Wisconsin through Kevin to adopt the process and to go forward with this. We do have a mandatory date that isn't necessarily very flexible per se, and it is a requirement. So with that, if any council members have a question of Kevin Struck, we certainly would entertain any discussion. The material and costs we're talking about is per se postage and paper per se, and then sometime that maybe our staff would help do different things, but beyond that, there's not a $20,000 or $30,000 cost at this point.
Right, I
That we know about.
don't see how there could be.
Yeah. So, any comments or questions? Certainly, we for some of us, it's a second go-around from the Plan Commission, but certainly it's something that we have to consider. Alderman Fowler.
I believe in the Plan Commission, we kind of came to the conclusion that as long as we made a good faith effort, we would not exactly have to meet that June 12th date, which would be very ambitious from this point. But for instance, I went out and I took that document, saved it on a hard drive, and tried a free product to convert it to Word. It was too large to email back to me. So if you are successful in creating it to a Word document, I would like a copy.
I guess we're using city staff to that's working on that right now in terms of turning it into a Word document. The nice thing with having it in a Word document is then city staff and the Plan Commission can amend the document without hiring a consultant to pay $100 an hour to amend a certain section. So that's kind of the purpose too, is to make it a more usable document for the future.
Right.
I think from a cost perspective, the only thing would be is that if we can't do the mapping in-house, which Bill Emick will be helping with, we may need to work with the county and use their mapping services, which would be more reasonable than hiring a consultant. So that would be the only real cost, larger cost item that there could potentially be. But the goal is to do as much in-house as possible with Kevin's help to save costs on this 10-year update.
Any other questions or comments for, it sounds like a project that we've worked with UW before on a couple studies. I know the Plymouth Adult Community Center had one several years ago, and I think we even had one before that the city participated. Mill Pond. So certainly I think, it's a very credible approach to doing it, and it's nice that you're in our backyard to work with us on that, and we certainly appreciate you willing to take it on. And hopefully we're the first one so that we're not on the waiting list too, so. Sure.
The only other thing I was gonna say, it's a little bit related, but the other project that we're gonna be working with Kevin is he's going to work with me to coordinate an education session on boundary plan agreements and what those are and what they do and what they don't do, and invite area towns and the city of Plymouth representatives to become familiar about that. So that's a little bit another topic, but that's just FYI. That'll be coming down the road.
Good. The chair will entertain a motion to approve a agreement to have Kevin Struck and the University of Wisconsin Extension, Sheboygan County, work with us on updating our comprehensive plan amendment as required by law.
So moved, Alder Anderson.
Second, Alderman Fowler.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Dobratz.
All I want to say is, about time.
Any other comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Hanson.
Yes.
Jarvis.
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes.
Furnsler.
Yes.
Dobrod.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you very much, and you can work things out with Brian, and that'll work out real well. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, item 6, discussion and possible action regarding Edna Street claim against the city. We had a discussion on this prior, and we have material that we've reviewed. The chair will entertain a motion.
I move to take no action at this time.
We have a first and a second to take no action at this time regarding the Edna Street claim against the city. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Anderson.
Yes.
Dobrod.
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes.
Jarvis.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Furnsler.
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 7, approve agreement with Sargento Foods Incorporated to allow geothermal piping and storm sewer across the city's property. I'll ask Attorney Feber to summarize that, and then I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mayor, and I think you did a great job of summarizing it. It is an easement agreement to allow Sargento to put some geothermal piping and a storm sewer across the city's property. This is related to the Sargento development, and this is, I'm hoping, the last piece that we can get in place related to the development. You do have a copy of the easement agreement in your packet. It has been signed by Sargento at this point. Certainly, if there's any questions on any of the specific provisions, I'd be happy to answer those. Otherwise, as we've said, the purpose is to allow Sargento to engage in some construction and to maintain an easement across the city's property.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So move, Alder Lottie.
Second, Sedlacek.
We have a first and a second to approve the agreement with Sargento Foods. As indicated, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Point of order, Alderman Hanson, do we need a roll call with a no vote? No? We're okay with that? Okay. Motion carries then, 7-1. Thank you. Moving on, item 9, approve furniture purchase. Oh, I'm sorry. A little too quick there. Excuse me. Item 8, approve request from Plymouth Chamber of Commerce to close Mill Street from the corner of North and Mill to the corner of Caroline and Mill on Saturday, July 9th, from 6 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. for the Mill Street Festival, and also use of the municipal parking lot on the corner of Smith and Mill Street beginning at 3 o'clock p.m. Friday, July 8th through 5 o'clock p.m. on July 9th. There. Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman
So
Del Prado.
moved. Second, Alderman Lottie.
We have a first and a second to approve as read for Mill Street Fest for 2011. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we'll go on to number 9. Approve furniture purchases by Plymouth Adult Community Center, and we have a handout on that. Director Oleg is with us tonight. You want to make a summary of what we're looking at?
First, I just want to thank the Committee on Aging and the Furniture Committee, which is a subcommittee of the Committee on Aging, for helping me with going through all these estimates and coming up with these prices. We start out, of course, with the moving company as we're looking toward making that move to the new intergenerational center. And we received 2 estimates, and of course, that's hopefully in your memo there to let you know what the prices are. The Committee on Aging did recommend that we use R&R Moving, basically because of the cost and also because we would be supporting a local business. Second set of estimates comes from the reupholsters, and we are going to have 2 love seats and 2 glider rockers refinished. And we, of course, got 2 estimates there, and even though, and I never pronounce this right, Canuck upholstery actually came in a little bit higher, but because they had offered us a larger selection of fabrics, and because they are a local business, the Committee on Aging chose to go with them. We had spoken with the decorating committee for PIC with Ruth Bernstler and agreed upon the fabrics to be used, and all the fabrics are flame retardant and antimicrobial. Third estimates are from Badger Office City and Emmons Business Interiors, and they are for furniture in both of the offices, the directors and the director's assistants. And Badger Office City came in just a little bit lower, and again, we worked with them quite a bit, and they are a local business, so the committee is recommending that we use Badger Office City. And then the 4th estimates are for 10 laptop computers to be used for computer classes. And Chris Ringel, who's sitting next to me, was nice enough to check out some bids for us on that. And he is recommending that we go with TigerDirect.com, basically due to the price. And of course, the Committee on Aging agreed with that. And that should really complete the purchases that we want to make. The only additional purchases that we would make would be televisions or projectors for the 2 rooms, the craft room and the wellness room. And then we're pretty much deciding that we're going to wait till we're actually living in that space before we make any more purchases, just to make sure that we are really aware of what we need and want for that space.
Thank you very much. That's a summary for the items as indicated. The chair will entertain a motion to approve. Could we do this, Director Oleg, all 4 recommendations? You're looking for approval tonight on those
Also
4?
would choose,
Okay.
sure.
Chair will entertain a motion to approve the recommendations of the Committee on Aging for the 4 items outlined.
Mr. Mayor, there's a second, I didn't want you to overpass Chris, there's a second pack that goes with this, related to additional electronics. I think the computer is on the original memo, and then he has a second handout, which everyone should have received, so I didn't know if we
Okay.
wanted Chris to review this with the council.
Let's do that first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it'd be a good idea, because you may want to put that into what you're considering for approval, because that PIC building's getting real close to being all closed up, ceilings, walls, everything, so it'd be a good idea to get this equipment in before it gets harder to do, and it costs more money, in a nutshell. There had been some discussions in reference to uses of televisions, projectors, how to do that, what's going to be cheaper. So I did some research real recently, talking with Martha Lanning, Dave from Braden Technologies, and Martha, and I came up with the 4 options that would best suit that room And of course, one of them stands out quite a bit more than the others, with some caveats to that. To allow PIC to coordinate the setup and do the, just everything as they had planned, Martha had quoted us a price of $4,708. That's for 2 projectors, 2 screens, and any of the wiring involved. If we would supply the projectors, this is option number 2, we would bring that cost down to $2,880 because I am able to save a substantial amount of money on the projectors, and it's essentially, from what it sounds talking with Braden, the same or very similar projector. Then came a topic about screens. What do you do for screens? Do we do something on the wall? Do we do a power screen or something like this? So I just included that in there so that you know what it would cost. That would bring the price back up to about $4,000 because of the extra wiring that would be needed to do power screens. And then if you look back to the televisions, the size of the rooms, I was finally able to get a tour of the PIC building. They're quite big rooms. I don't think a TV this size would do it justice. You might want to go a little bit bigger, so you're still talking about $5,800 to do that. So obviously, being daunted with the task of saving money, option number 2 seems to be the way to go, but you know, I'll leave that up to the powers that be. The one thing to keep in mind, if you go with projectors, you're also going to have to consider, which I haven't looked into, something for amplification. You got TVs on the wall, TVs got speakers. A projector similar to what's hanging here in the council chambers has one very small speaker. Those rooms are about 20 by 20 at minimum. It's not going to do justice for that room. People are not going to be able to hear what's going on, so you're going to want to consider some speakers and amplification devices in those rooms. That can be addressed at a later time because it's not real hard to install those wireless systems.
So, Chris, what you're saying is the best choice on your list would be item 2, city supplies of projectors at this point.
Correct.
And this is different from the 4 items that Director Oleg just read off to us.
This is completely separate. This is
So these are additional to
something
that.
that we wanted to get in and have you take a look at tonight, because I know Martha Lanning is very concerned that the building is going to be so far along at some point that this work is going to get harder to do. Once you start closing ceilings, those costs go up. That $4,708 or the $2,880 is going to go up because now you have to fish wires through, you know, ceilings that are already put in versus a wide open area. Unfortunately, the walls are already up and painted and everything, so they're going to have to fish those. We're beyond that point. Probably something in hindsight that should have been done quite some time ago.
So we're just looking at the 2880 right now, and those other things would be possibly additional things as you look into them.
Being the amplification?
Well,
Being
number
the other
3 and
things?
number 4.
No, those, if you choose number 2, number 1, 3, and 4 go away. The only thing you have to worry about is some sort of amplification for sound.
So number 2 plus amplification.
Right, at some point, you're gonna have to address that.
Okay.
If I may suggest that, you know, we allow the director to, I guess, I don't know if you've had a chance to review this, or if you have any thoughts to add into what Chris has to say, or?
Yes, Chris just brought this in tonight, and I thank him for doing that, because I know, as he said, there is a certain amount of time that we have to go ahead and do that. Because he just brought this in tonight, he did show it to me as he gave it to you, the council, although I will say that the Committee on Aging hasn't looked at this, so they haven't had time to review that at all. But I guess I would defer to Doug as being chairperson of Committee on Aging if he would feel that we could go ahead and prove this without.
Well, if it was a case of timing, and to hold it over until next month would be kind of not advantageous for us, right?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Yeah, so I think we can just go ahead.
Okay. Then we're back to Chair will entertain a motion on the 4 items recommended by the Committee on Aging, plus the additional item of city supplies of projectors for $2,880. So Chair will entertain a motion on that at this point, or any part thereof.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Lottie.
I would suggest we take the items individually. I would make a motion to that effect. We take the items individually on the four
We can do
things
that,
to
sure.
Put out.
Okay,
That's just my motion. I'm making a motion to that effect.
Is that a motion?
Yep.
I'll second.
okay, we have a first and a second to entertain each item individually. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Okay, we'll take each item individually. First item, moving. Who wants to make a motion on moving?
I would recommend we hire R&R Moving to do the moving for our Plymouth Adult Community Center
Okay, we
at
have,
the cost of $1,890.
that's what I was looking for.
Second. Alder Anderson.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion on hiring movers for $1,890?
May I just ask, if you and Bill Emick talked, is it a possibility to use Public Works employees, or? Okay.
When?
That's hard to
when's the
say.
date they're moving?
We don't have a date.
I have not talked, you know, if it's not snowing out, we could probably move. I don't know, I've
May I-
been in the senior center a long time, not sure if it needs to be moved, I certainly could help move.
Director, your,
Just another
Olin.
comment too, we do have some specialty items. For example, the pool table, which has to be taken all apart by someone who actually knows, pool tables. And R&R Moving is going to arrange for that. And then, of course, we have like the organ and the piano, which, are a little bit more delicate, things like that. So I'm not sure, Bill, if that is something you'd be able to
Could-
do, or...
could we approve this and then, with the agreement, first and second agree that if Bill is able to assist in some way, that, okay, we won't do it, but subject to some assistance there? I mean, is that a thought?
I would,
Alderman Lottie?
even though I'd love to have Bill do it, I think we maybe could get it done cheaper, I don't know, but I'm thinking, when you hire somebody to do moving, they have specialized equipment. The dollies, the blankets, everything you need for moving equipment around, And I'm thinking the cost of almost $2,000 is a reasonable cost if they're taking the pool table apart and putting it back together again and moving up. An upright piano is not easy to move, I'll tell you right now, and they have the equipment to do it. I'm saying, and this is gonna probably could be done in April, late March, or early April, I'm thinking, that, I'm thinking to stay with the original motion.
Okay, Alderperson Jarvis?
I was just wondering, since I heard the comment that there isn't a solidified date on the move, whether this particular item could be held until the February 22nd council meeting, if you thought that would be reasonable.
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman Sedlacek?
I would agree with Alderman Lottie that I think a moving company would be best served in moving the items from the senior center, or from the adult community center to the picnic.
Alderman Fern's?
No, I was just gonna say, I
Okay.
agree. I mean, I can see some of this furniture being put back of a dump truck with no blankets around it and shipped down there to the, not that I have anything against the city people.
No, I don't either.
But I mean, here you have insurance. If something gets broke, they have insurance that's gonna take care of it.
Any other comments?
Yes, I've moved 2 pianos in my life, I'd never want to move another one.
Director Oling?
Just to address Alderperson Jarvis, we are tentatively scheduled to move in on Tuesday, April 5th. That is being that the center is completed by Friday, April 1st. So we would actually have volunteers come to the center on Monday, April 4th, and help us pack. And then the moving company would come Tuesday, move us, and then we'd have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to get it set up.
Okay, that's good information. Any other comments? Clerk will call the roll.
Ernstler,
Yes.
Dobrat,
Abstain.
Fowler,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Item 2, estimate, the recommendation of the Committee on Aging is for NAC upholstery for the amount of $1,576.90. Do I, Chair will entertain a motion for upholstery?
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Sislatchek.
I recommend that, or I move that we use NAC upholstery for $1,576.90 for the reupholstering.
I'll second that motion.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Lottie.
Yes.
Sidlacher.
Yes.
Jarvis.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Dobrats.
Abstain.
Fernsler.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Third item, estimates for, from Badger and EBI for office furniture and tables. The Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Lottie.
I would make a motion on item 1 of the Badger office furniture to do the tables at $4,230 and omit the office furniture for the present time of $5,840.
Do we have a second?
Second, Alder Anderson.
We have a first and a second to recommend only the tables for the amount of $4,230. Discussion, Director Yurgis.
Mr. Mayor, I would just point out that, whatever the outcome is, that the tables in number 2 are actually cheaper than in number 1. So I would just point that out if the desire of the council is only to approve one of those items rather than the group.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Lottie.
one of the reasons I picked the Badger was because it has a local contact with the city. That's one of the reasons I picked Badger. And one of the reasons I wanted to omit the office furniture was that the desks, one of the desks we just purchased, in 2009, and the other one was purchased in 2002, and I don't see any damage on that office furniture that it should be replaced at the present time. I think every bit of that office furniture is totally usable at the present time. That's why I made the motion as I did. Thank you.
Any other comment?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Sislatchek.
I would vote no on this motion, as I believe as we're moving into a new facility, that the office furniture that's being picked is going to best service the areas that they're going to be used.
I would ask Director Oleg to maybe make a comment, only because this relates to the next item 10. We're kind of overlapping here, but I think maybe because we're separating this particular item, the office furniture and the tables, would the office furniture that we're now discussing be part of your number 10 as to what the city wants to do with it?
Yes. First of all, let me just say that the desk that Alderman Lottie is referring to in my assistant's office was purchased in 2009, and we do plan on using that desk at the facility in our health room. So that would, because it is a smaller desk, it will fit very nicely into the health room. That's a smaller office. And the workstations that Badger Office City has set up for us really work within that space that we now have at the center, so that we're able to work more efficiently. And I guess that's why we would, of course, recommend, purchasing that new furniture. With that being said, then, the desk in my office and the computer desk in my office, we would hope to, if the council would agree, to donate that to one of our tenants that is going to be in the PIC facility with us.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Lottie.
Mr. Mayor, if you look at Badger office furniture thing, and you see things in there, like I said, the desks, I think, are still usable. I don't see any problem with them. If you look at some of the things down here, if you look at, you go down the line here in quantity, 3H2172 Laurus upholstered seat and back chairs. The chairs in our clerk's office now, and the chairs in our director's office are a wooden chair. Here we're buying chairs for if you have a person come in and sit down and talk to you at $307 a piece. Now, I don't know if that's out of line. I would think it would be out of line when we're using other chairs in our other offices that are made out of wood, and you're looking at 3 of them at $921. And you got 2 of them in the assistant's office for another $614. So you're buying 5 chairs for almost $1,000. And these are just occasional, if somebody comes in and wants to talk to you, they sit down, and I just think that there's got to be looked at, the office furniture's got to be looked at further before I commit to it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Alderman Hanson, I'm sorry, see you down that end.
Did the Committee on Aging approve this packages? So they recommended the Badger, is that my understanding?
That's correct.
Any other comments?
Yeah.
Alderman Fernsler.
Yeah, it's been brought up on numerous occasions that the desks that they want to put into the health room will not fit in the health room. With the way they're going to put countertops, that they're having this fella Ray make countertops and make shelves, the desk will not fit into the health room. And like I said, it's been brought up on numerous occasions for the last couple months.
And at the same time, he pointed out to you that they do fit. They've been measured, they went in there and measured the whole thing.
Who went in
to be
and
sure they
measured?
were. From the Badger office.
Director Ehrlich.
Yes, that is what Alderman Dobratz is saying is, yes, that is true. Badger Office City went in, actually, Jim Hanlon allowed them to come in and they measured, and Jim and Badger Office City agreed that it would fit into the health office. That was what I had been told.
Any other comment? I'll have the clerk read back the motion so we understand it. My understanding is the motion, first and second, is for the tables only from Badger Office in the amount of $4,230. Is that correct? Is that correct? Clerk will call the roll.
Fernsler,
I thought you were, beg pardon?
The motion is,
the motion is for tables only from Badger Office City in the
Yes.
amount of $4,230. Dobratz,
Abstain.
Fowler,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Hanson,
No.
Jarvis,
No.
Sedlacek,
No.
Lottie.
yes.
Motion to buy the tables only passes on a 4-3 and 1 abstention. Moving on, item 4, the Committee on Aging recommended,
Request for information, if I might ask.
yes?
So this motion that passed, that doesn't say that they're not gonna buy, it just says that we're only gonna buy the table. So this other item could be brought up at a different time. Am I correct about that?
That's right.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Lottie.
Just a comment. I would appreciate it very much if the council members went over to the senior center or adult community center and took a look at the furniture that's there in those offices and make a determination for themselves whether they deem that furniture usable for our city or not, or for some other entity within the PIC building. Thank you.
Just for
Director Jurgens.
clarification, the entire consideration of number 1 could still be made tonight. And so I guess it would be a question of the chair if you want to skip that and just move on to the next item, or if you wanted to still act on the recommendation of.
Mr. Mayor?
Because the Committee on Aging, thank you, because the Committee on Aging did make the recommendation for the whole package, the chair would entertain a motion of the office furniture from Badger Office City at this time as an additional motion tonight.
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman Sedlacek.
I would like to make a motion to purchase the office furniture from Badger Office City for $5,847.60.
Second, Alderman Hanson.
We have a first and a second to purchase the office furniture for $5,847.60. Discussion.
Mayor Bowman?
Alderman Hanson.
I'm relying on the Committee on Aging's recommendation, and that's why I would be moving in that particular direction.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Alderman Sedlacek.
I would go back to the statement that I made, that this furniture has been chosen to be best utilized in the space that they have. You know, it's workstations, if you want to go, maybe there's a few chairs in there, that cost a considerable amount of money. Perhaps possibly those could be changed or whichever. But I think the workstation part of putting into these offices is, I think, critical to moving into this center.
Alderman Lottie.
I want to make a comment. I would disagree with Alderman Sedlacek. Our adult community center is operating just fine. I don't see a problem with the office people working in their office. They tell us they're not in there very often to begin with. They're out on the floor. That's what we've been hearing. So why we have to put in $5,000 worth of new furniture in an office that's barely used or very seldom used, I have a question with that. And I think, and I don't want to say that I'm not, don't depend on the Committee on Aging, but we gave things away before where we abdicated our authority, and it says that the council should deem if the items are usable or not for the city in our ordinance, in our disposable ordinance. So I'm thinking that it behooves the council to look at it. Not just the one committee say, yeah, let's do this, and we do it, you know? That's my comment. Thank you.
Alderperson Jarvis.
Yes, I just have a couple of points to make, that I would have preferred that we take the lower table bid from Emmons. And then secondly, that I agree with Alder Lottie about, that before we donate that one table or desk, the desk, I think it sounds like that we probably, I don't know if it went through the procedures of disposing of public property. And I think I would prefer to see that one pulled out, but otherwise I'd be fine with the other. It sounds like there's a good reason why the other desk needs to be purchased. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor? And-
Attorney Feber.
And just to alleviate the concern about what may be done with the existing furniture, as we talked about last time, you do have an ordinance that dictates how it's supposed to be disposed of. By approving the motion to buy the office furniture, you're not affecting what's being done with the current furniture, and that would still go through the process according to your ordinance. Even under number 10 tonight, there wouldn't be discussion or any action on determining what's surplus property, what is not. That would be appropriate for, possibly the February 22nd agenda. But if you do decide to approve the office furniture, what will happen with the existing furniture will come in the future. That'll need to be determined.
Thank you. Alderman Dobratz.
Alderman Art Jarvis mentioned something about that one being donated to someone. Which one are you referring to? The one in the health room?
I don't know, Director Oleg mentioned that they wanted to donate one of the desks to a tenant.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Clerk will call the roll, please.
Question, please? The motion?
You want the motion reread?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay, reread the motion.
The motion is to approve the purchase of the desk from Badger Office City at $5,847.60. That was by Alder Sedlacek and Alder Hanson.
Correct.
The person to the desk or the furniture?
Office furniture.
The
Office
office
furniture.
furniture.
Office furniture.
All right.
Yes.
Yep, office furniture. Clerk will call the roll.
Lottie,
No,
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Jarvis,
No.
Hanson,
Yes.
Anderson,
No.
Fowler,
Yes.
Dobrat.
Yes.
Fernsler.
Oh,
It's a tie vote. The chair votes with the purchase of the office furniture.
Mr. Mayor. May I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Alderman Hanson? Yes.
I want to know why Alderman Dobrat's abstained in the other votes, and on this one, he took a vote, a
Well,
position.
evidently I was misinformed on that fact that I couldn't vote. I can vote.
Well, I understand. I was just
Well,
wondering why you abstained.
I just misunderstood.
Okay.
Any, motion is carried. Mayor Ty breaks the tie with the yes. Moving on. Item 4, the recommendation of the Committee on Aging was for purchase of 10 laptops through tigerdirect.com. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Sedlacek.
I move we purchased 10 laptops from tigerdirect.com for the price of $5,697.10.
Second, Alder Hanson.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Sedlacek.
is 10 enough? I mean, I don't know what the plans are. I mean, is there a possibility that there may be 5 to 10 more, just depending on classes and so forth?
Right, you're right, it could depend on the size of our classes. We're starting with 10, just to see where we go with that. We have an instructor who's willing to do more than one class in the day, so if you break that down, she could probably see 20, maybe 30 people. So,
Thank you.
sure.
Alderman Fowler.
What kind of security is there to prevent these 10 from walking out of the center?
Well, and that's where I guess I have to talk with the police department. We talked a little bit about that, about coding, like the security tags and tabs that you put on furniture and things. Chris, can you explain that a little bit more about how that works?
Are you talking about physical security as in somebody
Right, I
taking?
mean, I don't see anything included in here that, you know, some kind of lockdown on the PCs or.
They will be checked out, though. They'll have to come to our office and check them out. When they're not in use, they will be locked in our storage area, which only my assistant and myself would have access to.
Okay, but they're not going home, right?
No, no. They can just be checked out in the building, within the building.
Director Yurgis, you
Oh, I was just gonna ask Chris.
clarified?
Yeah, I mean, you answered my,
Okay.
I was wondering if we, because I think on some of the other police department laptops, we have the barcode or whatever the
That's
sticker.
always an option. There's
Yeah.
a company that we use called Lustercal, and you can always get metal foil tags, things of property of City of Plymouth to put on there in the event that they are stolen or recovered later. Makes it easier to identify them, and then we keep all that information documented here.
Alderman Lottie?
I just have a question. By doing computers, are we duplicating what's provided in community education? Does anyone know?
Director
I know
Oley?
that Catherine Murray and I have talked about that, the fact that they do offer some classes, and the way it works there is they have a student work with an older adult, or anyone actually, I believe, who's interested in having some computer time or teachings. We feel that we've had a lot of seniors approach us and ask if we could have classes at the center because they felt it would be more comfortable to be in a group with all seniors. They just felt that maybe they would be more relaxed about that and feel more at ease to be with other seniors in classes. So we do feel that there is a demand for that.
Alderman Sedlacek?
I think that, you know, as part of the senior center and offering classes at the senior center, is just part of the programming, and the community ed would be using desktops. You wouldn't be able to haul those over to the senior center. I think that starting at 10 is a smart option, and over time, if there becomes more use and they need more, then they can make those purchases at that time.
Alderman Hanson?
Is there any wireless for the whole PIC building in design, or is it just the senior center? So they can be used, in different areas possibly with other groups?
I haven't heard, I know there's multiple services coming in the building, but I don't know specifically I would assume if you want wireless in PIC, we're gonna have to do that. That's a very low-cost item.
Chris, what do we have for our Director Oleg and her staff at the new location? Have you determined that, how they will communicate with city?
Yeah, I actually had a brief discussion with Director Yergis about that, and we've been kind of working forward there. There's, like I said, multiple services coming in. We're gonna have a couple of options, which is good because the more options means you can save money.
Okay, so you're working on that
Yes.
part. Okay, Alderman Fernsler.
Yeah, I've been told that the senior center is completely wired for wireless. That was one of the things supposedly that Jane had asked for in the beginning, and that's what they had done.
That's good to know.
Okay, good. That's good information.
Completely wired for.
Okay. Any other questions? Clerk will call the roll.
Jarvis,
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Lottie,
Yes,
Hanson,
Yes.
Dobratz.
Yes.
Sedlacek,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Fernsler.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Now, the last item is the Chair will entertain a motion to approve the, say if I say this right, Chris, city supplies projectors for $2,880 at this point. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved, Alder Anderson.
Second, Fernsler.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Alderman Hanson.
So I'm a little bit confused by this. So if we put the project 2 in, they will not need televisions ever? Or, so I'm confused what this is.
Talk to Chris.
Chris, explain number 2.
Using a projector and a screen similar to here in lieu of getting a television. If you want to add televisions in the future, that'd be up to you guys.
But we
Right
would
now, you're
need,
using a
we would
projector.
need speakers
Right,
to
but that's going to take
supplement
the
that.
place of the televisions.
Yes, we're doing this and knocking televisions off the radar.
Alderman Sedlacek.
I'm just confused here, are we purchasing 2 projectors for $670 each?
Yes.
So what is the rest of the,
That's PIC's cost or not PIC's cost, our cost to have Martha coordinate, putting in outlets, running wires.
Oh,
All
okay.
the stuff that the contractors would do. If we wanted to do that, we'd have to wait till after the fact.
Right.
Everybody'd have to be moved in.
Okay.
Because we're not contracted to do that service.
so that's just decrease in number 1 based on we're purchasing.
Yep, we
Okay.
give them the projectors, it brings the cost of number 1 down.
And then, I guess my next question is do we need screens? Because number 3, it says upgrade to 10-foot powered screens.
PIC is going to put a screen on the wall.
Okay,
That upgrade would be going like something similar to what's in the fire department, where it would be up in the ceiling, out of sight, out of mind, when you need it, you press the button, it goes down.
okay, so the wall will be done in
It's
such a
gonna
way
be-
that it's a
gonna be
screen?
Right there,
Okay.
screen on the wall.
All right, thank you.
Any other discussion? Alderman Hanson.
I just want to compliment Director Oleg and the committee for getting prices back to us before we do the vote on this. This is what we liked and asked for. Thank you.
Any other comment? Clerk will call the roll.
Sedlacek,
Yes.
Lottie,
Yes,
Fernsler,
Yes.
Dobratz.
Yes.
Fowler,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Hanson. Jarvis.
Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 10, discussion of furniture that Plymouth Adult Community Center will not take to the new building. Again, Director Oleg, would you like to start the conversation off on that? And then anybody can add in or ask questions. As was commented on earlier, this is not disposal, we're not taking action tonight, but this is a process toward that, as Attorney Fever said, toward the, possibly the February 22nd meeting, if that's when we choose to do it. So, Director Oleg, please.
Sure, I just wanted to bring to the attention of the council the items that we think that we will not be using at the new facility. And we did take into consideration the comments that were made at the last council meeting. And actually now Ray Wodak, who is part of the Building and Site Committee for PIC, is going to refurnish a large conference table that we have. He's going to redo that for us, put sliders on the chairs so that they slide easier across carpeting. And so we'll be taking that and putting that in our conference room. And then documenting from PIC, we also found that they would have room for our pool table, so that will be coming as well. The piano will be coming and now going into our living room space. And the organ will be used in the multi-purpose room, but then when not in use, it will be put in the storage area. So what we have left are the items you see pictured attached to this memo. And I know that PIC had, or Martha and PIC had expressed some interest in the 2 gliders and possibly the desk and computer. I believe that she would like to use those other 2 gliders in the child care area to be used in the infant room, so that when they rock the babies, they'd have the glider to rock the babies in. And the desk and the computer desk were something that possibly the child care area could use as well. So I guess I'm just looking for direction from the council, how they feel, about possibly donating any of those items, or do they, just what your feelings are about it, I guess.
Thank you. Any comments from the council, Alderman Sedlacek?
Are the gliders you're having reupholstered different than this glider?
They are just a little bit different, and we actually asked Ruth Fernsler about that from the decorating committee, and she said that only 2 of the gliders would fit into our living room area. She did not recommend 4. We have 4 of them currently.
Right.
So she recommended 2 of them, and her recommendation too, which, she just happened to note, was that she thought it would be wonderful if they could go to the child care area for the infants, so.
And I think that the question of whether or not it's appropriate to donate the items is a little premature at this point. The first step in the process is for the council to determine, is this surplus property? Is there no other use in any other city department for these items? Once that determination is made, then the rest of the ordinance process will kick in, and then there'll be opportunity for donation. But the first step really is to determine whether or not this is furniture that's no longer needed by the city.
Director Yerkes?
I would just add that related to the blue chairs, that maybe we have Mr. McKinnon look at those, and I don't know if that's something that you could utilize in the new building or not. I mean, I don't recall looking at the blue chairs myself, so I don't know if that's something you're interested in.
And some are in good condition and some aren't. So John, you certainly
There's
welcome to
about
come over
70
and
of them.
take a look.
Alderman Sedlacek?
I think that all the department heads in the city should be given,
A list.
a list and go over there and see what's there, and, you see how big these tables actually are and different things. That way they have an idea of what that furniture is and whether they can use it or not.
Certainly would be a good help.
I mean, if we're trying to make a decision as to whether this furniture is gonna be used by the city or not, I think the department heads are the ones that are probably gonna be the, most likely the ones to be using them.
Any other comments? Alderman Lottie?
I agree with Alderman Sedlacek that our department head should look at it before we take any action on it. And I would make a motion to that effect before we do any action, that each department head should go look and see if they can find something in there of this list that's here, of things they can use in their immediate area or in some other area of the city.
I cannot allow the motion, it's only discussion, only not action on the agenda item. I think everybody understands that it's in the council's interest to have all of the directors go and take a look. But we cannot allow a motion because it's not on the agenda to take action, just discussion. Alderman Fernsler.
Yeah, I would put a time on it. I would say that they should go down and look before the 22nd.
By agenda time on February 17th, noon.
That's fine.
I think that's probably a good idea. Alderman Lottie.
Mr. Mayor, go back to item number 5 on the agenda. Discussion and possible action. Only if you got action on it, can we take action on it on the agenda?
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Because it says possible action.
I'm not trying
Okay.
to
I'm just
override
asking-
my
I'm-
authority.
No, I'm just trying to
but-
get it straight in my mind exactly where I'm going here.
Yeah, and I think everybody understands by February 17th at noon that if any other department can use it, we'd like to know about that for the February 22nd.
Sure.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, good. Thank you. Moving on. Item 11, approve 2010-2011 tavern operator license as indicated, previously approved by the chief. Chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Alder Anderson. Second, Sabacek.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item 12, approve treasurer's report and authorize payment of January vouchers. I'd ask Clerk Huberty to read that, please.
For the month of January 2011, the City of Plymouth balance on December 31st, 2010 was a negative $134,854.56, and it's negative due to transfers between the checking and sweep account and outstanding checks. Receipts were $9,310,192.08. Disbursements, $8,330,779.95, bringing us to a balance on January 31st of $844,557.57. For the Plymouth Utilities, the balance on December 31st was $82.17. Receipts, $3,523,306.19. Disbursements, $3,523,316.40, bringing them to a balance on January 31st of $71.96.
Thank you. The Chair will entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report and authorize payment of January vouchers.
So move, Alder Lottie. Second.
We have a first and a second to approve the treasury report and authorize payment of January vouchers. Any discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Fowler,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Sedlacek.
Yes.
Fernsler.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Lottie.
Yes.
Jarvis.
Yes.
Dobratz.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Item 13, other business. Item A, building permit report for December 2011, 23 permits issued with an estimated total of $2,127,165. Item B, January reports acknowledged for filing. Clerks, Department of Public Works, Fire Department, Police Department, Senior Center Director. And item C, minutes acknowledged for filing. Committee on Aging, January 11th. Downtown Revitalization Committee, February 3rd. Plan Commission, February 3rd. A reminder to let Alderman, Director Jurgis know if you're available for a second round of meeting on February 17th with Ron Nielsen at
Well, last time I think we
approximately,
met at 7. so
yeah,
I guess.
7-ish.
The question is if that's a good night for everybody. If
Let-
it's not for you, that won't work.
Okay. See, let Director Jurgis know what is a good date if the 17th isn't good. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, Alder Hanson.